for the weather. And then Vice Mayor Sutton is on his way. So he had called and asked for me to apologize, and he will be here shortly. So with that being said, there's no order. I'll give everybody a chance if you would like to speak, ask any questions. I did want to point out, as we did in our last regular meeting, that Fairview Elementary is having some students. Is it third grade, fourth grade? They are, one of their summer projects is to come to a meeting. So I just met Madison that was in the back, and then it looks like we had somebody else walk in. Do you want to give us your name? Aaron, okay. Well, that way everybody knows you made it and they need to get with the program. So I will give you a chance. Anybody who wants to come and speak, we can talk about anything you want to, and you know, there's really not a time limit. So feel free to come up and go ahead.
Good evening. I'd just like to give you some positive feedback or news about what the Friends of Bowie Nature Park have done and are currently doing. We got a grant from MTEC, which we applied for, and it's just under $4,000. And with that, we replaced the overhead, I'll call it plaque or sign, in the kitty critter corner. Mm-hmm. Okay, the theme is very similar to the one on the main entrance to the park. And it was, again, done by Signs and Wonders. So that's been done. We've ordered a swing platform. That was a suggestion by the park staff. And this is for, going to hold up to an adult wheelchair in person. And they will install it. They'll replace, I think, one of the rubber tire things close to the gate. And I just talked to Brian today, and he said that it had been shipped, so that should be here within a week or so, and that would be installed. We also ordered, and one of our creative members replaced the drinking fountain at the restroom with a frost-free drinking fountain, assuming that the backside stays above freezing. So that was done, and I just handed Brian today the supposedly remaining piling caps for the pilings, you know, to cut them off, and again, like they did on the kitty critter side there, to put them on top. And that may take some time because it's like 65 or so caps that have to be done, but hopefully that would, you know, prolong the life of those pilings. I mean, some of those are, you know, they're cut at 30 degrees as was prescribed. They're a little hollow in the middle. And then Nashville Natives, Andy Sudbrock, that owns that just down the road here, a couple of weeks ago, he donated about 150 various plants of milkweed, those things that pollinators like butterflies and bees really like, the perennials. They're native to the area. And so we planted about 150, well, him and his daughter mainly, planted them down by the restrooms and some along the, what do you call, the nature center around that area there. So that's what we've done so far this year. And, you know, we're always looking at ways of, you know, the playground tends to be one of our, you know, greatest interests, but somewhere else in the park, we try to improve it any way that we can, and we thank MTEC for providing us the grant money to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. You forgot something. Go ahead.
And we have a silent auction every year during Nature Fest, and it'll be held up at the Nature Center this year. So a lot of good things. Go to our website and
Hey, well, and Nature Fest was what, the second Saturday in September?
September 12th.
Yes.
September 12th, yes.
Okay. Good deal. Anybody else? You might as well. You're here, so you might as well come up.
This is just purely as a citizen, nothing to do with the Friends. Any ideas to with the new budget put in place, I mean, we're only, what, a month into this new fiscal year, but any signs or trends as to how things are going? Are we, even, we still underwater, but, there's a slight uptick, or?
I've not seen any numbers so far. I mean, we're not even through the first month yet, but from everything that I have seen, I've been able to glean that it sounds like we're moving in a positive direction. I mean, I know that the TAN was approved. We have the TAN money. I talked to CFO Darty a couple days ago. We got our bond rating from S&P, which was an A. Is that right? A rating. So that process is moving right along, our debt restructure. So it sounds like everything's moving in a positive direction from what I've been able to gather so far. I mean, of course, we'll see, but I think we're going to be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and just another comment from when one of the things when Mr. Darty and Mr. Hall got the rating, called each of us in to give us our letter, what was going to be published in the paper talking about it. And so separately, kind of explained it, but so I got to talk a little bit to them. And, a lot of the reasons we got our rating an A, because we had no idea where that was going to lie, and this is the first time we've ever attempted, is some of the things that we put in effect this year. And with the budget is being, only what we actually off of last year's projection, no more. And so there's a couple things that, made it where the steps we had put in place, we're going in the right direction. So, it's comforting, especially during the budget time, and, how difficult it seemed to be to come up with a common ground. Apparently, we did a decent job, and so now it's just up to living within our means and making it happen. And so I feel great about it, really. I mean, I wish we weren't where we were, but as far as fixing it, I think we're on the right road, and I think the staff, city manager and CFO, they know what they need to do to get it done. So as long as we keep moving forward, I think we'll see the difference.
Having never had a bond issue before, I think that's an excellent rating. I mean, this is the first time we've ever had to do this, and it was a very smart move on the part of the administration and the board. And the report from S&P will be, I think, in the paper. Is that right, Mr. Hall? Yes. And I just encourage folks, when you read that report, there's some things in there that talk about how we ended up with an A, and it's not all positive, but I just encourage the citizens to look at the three areas where I think they use the word or characterize what was going on as weaknesses, to understand that those are things that have been going on for a long time. That's in the past. We have taken steps to try to fix those issues in terms of management and just the overall structure of the organization, and I think we're headed in the right direction. So don't read too much into that. That's all I want to say about that.
Well, just being up here for a while, it's the best budget that I've seen since I've been serving the city. So that's what I wanted all along, is to only spend what we brought in, and as of right now, that's what we've done. And I think the better that the community and the board and the staff work together, the quicker we'll recover, and we can start enjoying some of the growth and some of the things that'll come along with it. Anybody else?
Mr. Hall?
Yeah, Mr. Hall has something.
Tom and I are absolutely ecstatic over the rating of we've had several conversations with not only the S&P, but also with John Werner with Cumberland Securities. But we made every step the way that they asked us to do. And the thing about what you mentioned a while ago about mismanagement, you know, they had to tell both sides, so to speak, you know, and that way we're, you know, it's a positive move all the way around. And so I don't see anything but good things in the future. And with the projections that Tom has come up with, and we start showing a surplus, I think our bond rating will increase. And that way, when the future comes, when we need to really step up the road process, rather than just resurfacing, we're going to need some shoulders on some of these roads. We're going to need some sidewalks in the future. That will be the time that, or we may have to add a road here and there to get access to a subdivision. You know, so those will be at the time in a couple, 3 years when we will really need that good bond rating, so that if we have to go beyond our means to go and borrow the money, then we'll have an excellent bond rating to do so. But right now, our focus is to get this debt paid off and move forward with that. So that's just Tom and I's focus on everything.
I think that's a good focus. Come on up. There's,
I don't go to the planning commission meetings. Kathy goes and usually informs me, but on the proposed, or at one point in time, the Best Western on I-40, people talked about Hardee's, the Brownland Estates. Any status on these things? Are they real? Are they imaginary? Or
I'll start. Hardee's will be on the tree board this next meeting, next Tuesday. The actual planning commission will probably fall in the September meeting for Hardee's. They have already sent in their plans. So they've been on top of their game, and they actually sent in their review fees with the plans. Should I tell them I
We
almost
like
cut
that.
the check up? Oh, I cut through it and almost cut the check. Wasn't used to a check being sent in, but, you know, to me, that's on top of their game, because, you know, they seem very professional. They actually had the engineer come in from Arkansas, and the actual contractor drove in from New Orleans. So that, you know, they're good to go. I actually, the other one I met with the Brownland Farms people this morning, and they seemed to be so excited about it that the president of the company come with the guy that we had been meeting with this morning. And they actually made a tour through the park. I invited them to go there. So and the president, before he left, he said, that's where I want to go. So that was a good thing. As far as the Best Western, no further news on that. I do have an engineer that has talked to me about the possibility of him talking to a firm that wants to put a hotel here, which we drastically we do need it. I'd love to see it in a certain place, but that's neither here nor there. But I also had another conversation this week from a person here in Fairview wanting to know if we had any regulations on how many stories they could have in a building. And of course, I don't know that we actually have a regulation on how many stories they can have, but I approached it this way with him. I said, first off, we need to look at it from what the fire department can do to protect the building of that size. I said, I do know that our ladder truck can access 4 stories. 5 possibly, but better off with 4 stories, because in the end, that's going to affect your insurance rating. So if he's talking of a condo, or if he's talking of a high-rise apartment, we couldn't, you know, so I don't know what they're talking about, but I like the area that he's talking about it. So, but I'm not at liberty to say where we're at there, but I'll give him some good information, and he said that was one good thing that he hadn't thought about, was the fire protection, you know. And so if it is an apartment or if it is a hotel or something, we need to have fire protection for the people. So, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hall, where is Brownland in the process? Is it, I mean, they have a anticipated date to break down
They're-
ground on that subdivision, or?
They're wanting to bring to the planning commission early fall, possibly October. They had told me once to bring it to the staff in August, but they would, and bring it to planning commission in September. But this morning's meeting sounded kind of going to delay that a month or so. And they have a reason for doing that, and I agree with their reason. So as soon as I know for sure what their plans are, I'll be publicizing that.
Okay. Anything else? Go ahead. First try.
August activities at Bowie are now posted on bowiepark.org. The Raceworks West, they can use spaghetti sauce, box meals, and crackers. And this Saturday, August 1st, is the back-to-school bash
Yeah.
at Fairview High School. I'm not sure at the time, I want to say 10 to 12. I know we have to be there 9 to 12, but I don't know if it starts at 9. I'm not sure of the time.
I believe it's 10. I think you're correct. I think the vendors have to be there at 9. So that's a good. Also, there is a food pantry at the middle school tomorrow, and I believe 7 to 11 or noon. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. Just FYI, have you seen anything on that, Mr. Hall, to clarify the time?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Okay. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, I know it's 7, so if you want to show up early, or, tell anybody that, that may need it, that is available at the middle school.
Mr. Hall or Ron, either one can probably answer this question, or may be able to answer this question. Do you know where the county is in terms of setting up the Fairview Athletic Association?
I haven't heard anything further on it. And I do know that it was in the process.
We have somebody that knows?
I actually ran into Ron at Walmart the other night, and he said they're getting ready to hold a second meeting at the rec center to either appoint or elect those people who've submitted applications.
Okay, good,
I think it's next week, but I'm not sure.
good, excellent, thank you.
Did he act like or give any inkling of what kind of response? I wonder if we had a big response?
Last
or-
I heard, it was 7 or 8
okay.
applications that have been received. I think there's a lot of other people that were kind of on the fence, that they're trying to encourage them, but they're not sure if they want to dive off in the deep end of the pool
Yeah.
for the first board.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay. Anybody else?
And that
Thank you
is-
for the information.
That is the baseball program, right?
Yes.
Is that girls softball also?
Baseball, softball, and basketball?
7 sports, I don't know exactly.
7 sports, good.
Oh,
More than what we first heard, good.
Okay. Anything else? Come on, we want to talk. We're ready. We got to make it long enough for the vice mayor to show up. Okay. I won't prolong it because I'm sure the kids want to go home.
Do they have anything to say?
Do y'all have any questions? No? Okay. What would you like to see in Fairview? What's some things, if you could have anything here in Fairview, what would you like to see? How about you, Andrew?
Aaron.
Aaron? We just pushed you into it.
If y'all could, I would like to see some soccer goals at Fairview Elementary.
Yeah.
Because right now we're having to use the backdrops that are supposed to be for baseballs as goals, and it's kind of tearing up our soccer balls.
Okay.
So we'd like to see some goals.
Well, that's a good thing. So soccer goals at Fairview Elementary? Do y'all use that for the soccer team also, or is it just during school?
It's just during recess.
Okay, well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
telling us. Madison, do you have anything? A water park? Yeah, me too. Are you talking just splash pad or you want the full-blown water park? Say it again. What'd she? The big one. Full-blown. So little Nashville Shores in Fairview, maybe. I don't know. We're missing the lake, though.
Probably better start with soccer goals first.
That might have been an easier request. No, that's great. I mean, that's the things that we have to do here all the time is the community, they have a lot of wants and desires for our community. So kind of deciding what comes first and what they are. And sometimes we're challenged in getting the fun stuff, the recreation stuff, with having to worry about budgets and streets and all that fun stuff. So it's definitely a challenge, but you know, maybe that should be y'all's next project, is to have your class write what they'd like to see, and we can kind of see what the common goals of the people that will actually use it. That might be a fun project to do. We may have to talk to the principals and see if we can't have that done. Okay, anybody else? Okay, if that's it, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming.